Hi sweet friends, it's Terry from Maple Fig Cottage. Today I'm going to be making skin cream. It's my own homemade skin cream. I am going to be using oil that I infuse. It'll be flowers that I've dried here, and it's in avocado oil. I'll tell you all about what's in it and how I do that, and I'll show you step by step how I make the skin cream. It'll be really healthy for the skin. There won't be any chemicals or synthetic ingredients, no parabens, nothing that would be bad for you. It's really simple, very fun to make, and you control what ingredients you put in it. So you can put all types of herbs in it. There's so many listed online that are good for the skin. You can do marshmallow root and lavender and rosemary and so many things. So I'll tell you what I put in mine today and why I like that particular blend. And if this interests you, I hope you'll come along and spend time with me in the kitchen today. Okay, so I'm gonna make a double batch. So I have this mixing bowl I like to make it in. I can put it right in the oven. Got my scale here. I'm gonna have it on, make sure it's on ounces, tare it at 0. And the first thing I'm gonna do is cut my shea butter. That's kind of the hardest part. Shea butter and coconut or cocoa butter, they have to be kept in a nice container. But I'm gonna cut 8 ounces of this. So 8.01, close enough. There's my shea butter. We're going to be melting that. I'm going to add, I already measured out, 8 ounces of beeswax pellets. And they actually are what takes the longest to melt. And then I'm going to be using unrefined organic virgin coconut oil. Okay, I turned out my scale again. You can either tare it between each ingredient or you can just keep adding it. I want to have double the coconut oil and infused oil as shea butter and beeswax pellets. So I'm going to do 16 ounces of the coconut oil and 16 ounces of the infused oil. All right, I've got 16 ounces of organic virgin coconut oil. This is the unrefined, and I tared it again. And now my herbs have had plenty of time. They've been sitting here for about a half an hour. It's only dripping because I have more. I should have used a bigger bowl. This is sitting down in it, and I will make sure to get every bit of it. I'm going to make sure to do 16 ounces. I'll drip this over a paper bowl so I can get the rest of it. And here it is. And you can see that there's a little bit of pieces of herb in there. That's okay. It's all just flowers and herbs. It's all good for you. So I'm going to watch my scale, pour some in, get it up to 16. Just about this whole amount. Oop, tiny bit more, so I'll take some out. $16.01, good. Got it there. And so here's my mixture that's going to go in the oven. I have the oven set to 300 degrees. I'm only going to keep it in there for a few minutes. I got my containers ready to go to pour in. And I'm not going to put my essential oils in until this has melted and cooled down just a bit. So there are my herbs left. I was trying to get the last little bit of oil, which is right there. And I always keep jars going. This is another jar that I had there. The other one I was so old you could see the writing was off, but this was back in September of 25. And I have a little tiny bit left from this batch with some of the herbs pieces. So I'm going to just pour it down in with what was left from my last batch. If you make like a lip balm or chapstick or something, I use it in that too. Now none of this has the scent in it yet, so this can be used generically for whatever you want to use it for. And I'll put the rest of this in there. It is like liquid gold. You do not want to waste any of it. I mean, this is almost June, so September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. Okay, so that's 10 months. I usually do it about 6 months, but I just leave it in there till I'm ready to use it, and it's just got more goodness in it. You want to make sure when you're doing it that your herbs are completely dry. You do not want to try to infuse oil with the herbs not fully dry. They hold a lot of water. I have some more things going up here. That's some hot pepper oil, and we've got some nasturtium leaves and rosemary and echinacea and rosebuds and lavender, and there's my calendula. There's a little bit of hibiscus left there. Don't have quite as much of that. But you just want to make sure so nothing goes rancid or bad, that you're using a good stable oil. I usually use avocado oil and coconut oil. Coconut oil is too thick to infuse, so I like to use the avocado oil for infusing and then the coconut oil in whatever blend I'm making. But you can use olive oil, you can use other oils. It's just that you have to be careful they're not in heat or they might go rancid. My house is climate controlled for the most part. We do lose power a lot, but it is on the counter, and most of the time there's air conditioning and heat on. So I just want to share a few tips if you're going to use essential oils. If you're not familiar with essential oils, definitely do your research. I stay away from synthetic fragrances and scents. I do have an autoimmune disease, and if I'm around people who have a lot of sprays, even perfumes, even ones I used to love to wear, they make my skin itchy. I can feel my adrenal glands, just the life going out of me. So I usually stay away from scents. I usually use like free and clear type of laundry soap, bath soap, that kind of stuff. But I can handle small amounts of essential oil. You just don't want to do an overload if you're not used to using essential oil. So definitely do your research on that and start small. Less is definitely best. Even if you look up saturation points of essential oils, you want the total amount of oil to be under the overload amount. You don't want to say, well, this particular oil I can use 3% of in my whatever I'm making, and this particular one says I can use 5% or 1.5%. You don't want the total amount to exceed how much you can use. So I stay small. In a full batch, I'll only use a teaspoon maybe of each scent that I'm using. A lot of people like to use 3 scents to get the 3 levels of notes. I used to work for a soap and lotion company, so even working for a natural, quote-unquote natural store, it is synthetic fragrance, and you need to be aware of what's in your ingredients. That's why I like making my own. I can totally control what's in it, and I know it's not going to have anything that breaks my skin out or causes me any kind of reaction, especially something you're using every day. I don't want to overload my skin, which is your biggest organ, having something soak through my pores that's going to overload my adrenal glands, make me itchy, make me feel bad. And when I was working in a soap and lotion store, people would come in and they would say, oh, my son has eczema, or I really struggle from psoriasis, so I want to start with the mildest soap. and they would pick something that said it had honey or oats in it, and it didn't have honey and oats in it. The name of the synthetic fragrance had honey and oats in the name. So that's difference when you're using a synthetic fragrance versus essential oils. And essential oils, even though it's supposed to be good for you, different people can handle different amounts. So you do want to check into that. You do want to start out small, and you never want to put it directly on your skin without being in some sort of carrier oil. So none of this is for medical advice or anything like that. This is just my own experience and what I've seen working with people who would come to our soap shop and who would react for different things. So I like making my own at home, and I can make sure that everything I put in it is natural and is not going to hurt me at all. The other thing is you can use a multitude of different fats. We used to put mango oil and cocoa butter, things like that in our lotions and soaps. And they are extra emollient. They are a harder butter that you do have to cut, like mango butter. I think I said mango oil, mango butter. But they're sticky, and you have to know if your skin is oily or dry and what feels good on you. I have oilier skin, always have, and so I don't like the stickiness of a really thick mango butter. And cocoa butter has a good smell to it. I like the scent of it. It makes you think of the beach. But I wouldn't put that on my face. I like it better for, my arms or my legs after shaving. That would be fine. But something that I'm making as a skin lotion that I want directly for under eyes or for under my makeup or on my face, I don't want it to be so thick and so greasy. So you can play around with your formulas. There are a lot of people online who have really good recipes you can look into. Heidi at Rain Country, I found her first years ago, pre-COVID or around COVID time, about 2020, 2019 in there. And her formula is what I started out with. And then I've tweaked it over time, and I believe she says she had looked into Wellness Mama, which I did used to follow, and I had followed some of her stuff before I was working at a soap shop, and I'd kind of learned and tweaked my own stuff before I started working for the soap shop. And then I started working in a commercial area where you kind of see what they have to do to cut corners and costs, because it is expensive if you're using all organic, really natural products. But if you're just doing it for yourself in small batches, it's totally perfect, and it works because it lasts so long. I mean, what I'm making today is well over a year's worth of my skin cream, and we use it for, my daughter calls it her magic cream, because we've used it for wounds that wouldn't heal, and for cuts, and for weird rashes and all kinds of stuff, and it just heals it right up. So it is kind of like a miracle cure. We call it our liquid gold. So anyway, those are just a few tips. Also look up your flash points, because like I say in the video, the beeswax takes the longest to melt, and it's really tempting when everything's melted and you just want to speed up the process and all these little beads are still in there, to just turn your oven up to 400, 450. You don't want to do that. You just want to be slow. Let it take its time. Let it melt, because even though it takes a higher temperature to melt it quicker, you don't want to burn off any of the goodness from that infused oil. The infused oil has been infusing, at least mine, I do at least 6 months, but sometimes up to a year. I just leave the herbs in there till I'm ready to use it. It doesn't go bad. So why not get all the goodness you can out of it? And if you put it in the oven at a really high temperature, you can lose some of that. So I like to leave it just really low, take my time, do it a day I'm going to be home, and let it just, melt slowly and not burn off any of the goodness from it. And that's also why I would never put the essential oils in before I would stick it in the oven, just so I can keep the benefits of the essential oils that I'm putting in. So if you do your own research and you look, there are different benefits with different essential oils, and I'm not an expert on essential oils. I just know which ones I like, which one does well on my skin. my family has very, very sensitive skin. I have a couple of my boys have extremely sensitive skin, a family of redheads, and we were using rosemary for a while and they were getting hives. So you do have to know what you can tolerate and what not. So look into all the benefits. Rosemary is really good for anti-inflammatory and for skin, but it just wasn't something we could regularly use. So there's all kinds of good scents, there's all kinds of benefits, especially for women when you look into stuff like ylang ylang, sage clary, all of the clear sage, so many different ones. So do your research, you know yourself, you know your own skin, and I'm sure you know what you can handle. Different people have more pigment in their skin, different people have, you know, fairness and sensitivities, so you do it based on you. And this formula that I use today, you can put any essential oils in, so you can make it work for you, and you can add different fats and butters if you don't prefer to do the shea butter. So you play around with it and let me know if you have a formula or if there's something you would do different in the way that I've done it. I've used the same cream now for let's see, at least 6 years, because I think I started it in 2020, and I love it and I haven't had to change it. But if you have other things that you think I could add to it or that you would like, just let me know and I would love to hear from you. And I love experimenting and playing around with it. So just wanted to pop that in there and let you know what I was thinking about that, because it is serious when you put something on your skin that you know what's going into it and what your skin can handle. So you can see it's just about melted. Some shea butter and those little beads of the wax pellets, they're still hanging on just a little bit. I get them to where they're almost fully melted and take it out and stir it, and they'll go the rest of the way. So I just pulled my Pyrex dish out of the oven. You can see that everything is melted really well. It's stirred up really well. There's no little pellets, no shea butter left. Those were the last two things to melt. But this is super hot. It's about 300 degrees. So I'm gonna wait, and when it cools down, I'm going to add, I usually put about a teaspoon of each essential oil, and I never put more than 2 different types. I'm gonna use rose today and vanilla, and I wait till it cools down to about 90 to 100 degrees before adding. I'll show you, it's been sitting for a few minutes, and it's starting, the coconut oil is getting firm on top, but if I stir it, it just melts back down. That means it's cooling down to about where I want to put the essential oils in. So it hasn't cooled down enough that it's going to be solid and have trouble stirring it in, but it is cooling down enough that it's about ready to pour into the containers, and as soon as it gets into the containers, it cools way down and starts solidifying in the container. Okay, so I'm going ahead and I'm mixing in my rose absolute. It's about a teaspoon per batch. This is 2 batches. My containers are 4 ounces each, and one batch makes 6 of those containers. So I put a teaspoon of each essential oil per batch per essential oil. And you want to stir right away. If you leave your oil or your essential oils in there and you walk away to get other stuff done, you're also going to have a chance of little beads in your cream instead of it being smooth, which we call ricing. So I'm just going to stir this up really, really good. And it's already starting to get some solidified pieces because it's cooling down really quickly. So I'm going to pour it right away, just so I don't have any problems with little flecks in it. This can be a problem in the winter. I have a really hard time. I mail the cream to my daughter, and if it's really cold and it's froze on a UPS or FedEx truck, it can get those little flecks in it, but she just warms it up again and it's fine. Much better in the summer. I don't have too many problems in the summer. And I'm just going to evenly the Pyrex is still hot. So I'm just gonna try to evenly pour it into each container. And I just go ahead and pour as much as I can, and then I go back and top them each off so that we get an even amount in each container. And like I said, I mean, this is a year's worth. I used to sell it, and sometimes I still give it to family and friends, or if someone at church wants to buy some, but it is a lot to keep up with if you're growing and drying your own flowers to make it. You can buy dried flower products from organic companies. It is very expensive for the amount you use. And I forgot to say, in the jars, the essential oil, or the avocado oil, it takes me a whole bottle for that jar, and I put an equal amount of each of the herbs. I don't measure, I just try to fill it with an equal amount. And the good thing about this too is it is waxy, so when it starts to dry, anything you've sloshed over the side, it just wipes right off. It actually just peels right off, separates like wax does, like candle wax. And it washes right out of fabric. It just protects my counter to have some wax paper and fabric underneath. Or a tablecloth of some sort that you can work on. I have quite a few scrap fabrics that I like to work on. It's pretty, it makes the experience pleasant, and it's really easy to wash out. So there we have it. They're all poured. You can see there's a little spillover. As soon as they solidify, that'll just peel right off. I'm not worried about it. It is starting to cool down, and you can see the changing color. It kind of solidifies and gets to be like a buttery color, but it's super soft when you dip your finger in it to spread on your face. It's just really smooth, beautiful. You can tell there's no ricing, there's no lumps. It's going to be super smooth. The only thing you may see once in a while are just little pieces of the herbs and flowers that were in the avocado oil, the infused oil that we used, which is perfectly fine. Just want to let them cool, and as soon as they become solid, then I put my little lids on and label them. It's been just a couple minutes, and you can see that they're starting to solidify. You can see the change in color as it's solidifying. I usually let these sit overnight, put the caps on in the morning, and make sure that they're completely firmed up before I pop them in the mail. I'll be sending a couple out to my daughter. When you want to clean them up, like this one here, the first one that I poured, some of the wax went over the side. It's fine, just get a wet paper towel, it'll peel right off, it'll wipe right off, but do not wash any of this down your sink. My Pyrex dish, I wipe it out as best I can. Paper towels, I put some Dawn dish liquid, that's good for the oils, and then I boil some water, which I have on the stove right now, starting to boil, and then I pour it right in the pan in the sink to make sure there is no wax or oil that's not been dissolved going down my sink or going into the dishwasher. I covered these overnight with just a little thin sheet of wax paper, just to make sure no flies or anything landed in it while it was setting. And I mean, they were pretty much set after an hour or two, but I just like to leave them overnight just to be safe. And here they are. I was able to get a couple extras made with the extra oil that I had, so we have plenty for a good amount of time. And you can see that it's smooth. There's no ricing or little flecks or lumps of the fat clumped up in here. And it is this one here. I'll show you because it's not a full one. You can see, you know, I've dipped in there. It's just nice and soft. Feels really good. Just blend it in. And it just absorbs in a few minutes, not waxy or greasy at all. And I just put the little tin lids on and label them, and I store them like this in a little box in an extra room that we have, and when I need the next one I get it out. And you can see, like, here's one that it dripped on when I poured it over. I don't know if you can see if it's focused on that, but it just comes right off. Just get a paper towel, wipe the wax right off. Good as gold. I already washed the fabric that it was on. That's already come out. I just put a little Tide on it, and looking good. So I hope you enjoyed seeing me make my own skin cream today. I hope that you'll try this recipe and tell me what you think, and tell me what kind of herbs and flowers you like to grow and dry, what kind of dehydrator you have, and if you feel like it does a good job with the flowers, and which particular ones do you like for skin health, hair health, medicinal purposes. I'd love to hear what you do. It's very interesting to me, and I'm always researching and studying. And like I said, this is a 4-ounce tin, smooth, feels so good. I love to put it on my skin before I go to bed at night. I love to put it on my skin right before I put makeup on in the morning, and it just sets all day. It doesn't get greasy, it doesn't clog your pores, it just feels good. It's moisturizing and extra emollient, and it's really good for the skin. So thank you for coming along with me today, friends, and I'll see you next time in the kitchen. Bye-bye.